Happy Wednesday afternoon, everybody. It's 11:28 here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a beautiful sunny day outside. It's unseasonably warm. It's, going to be like 80 degrees today. That's too warm. Usually this time of year, it's in the mid 60s to early, low 70s. At any rate, I got a major bone pick today, and it's about wrestling. And it's about WWEak. I don't call them WWE, I call them WWEak. Okay, so a while back, Levesque, Triple H, in other words, decided to kind of fix his content by getting a little bit more creative and having more of an emphasis on wrestling and less on storylines. Well, okay, so now instead of 4, maybe 5 matches in a 2-hour show, we might get 5, maybe 6. Okay, well, that's better. The wrestling is better. It's a little more intense, a little bit more violent. I like that. And there seems to be less backstage folderol. Well, I'm still, very unimpressed. Now, my major bone to pick here has to do with a couple of things. First of all, I really like a lot of the content as far as the wrestling itself goes. Not too much of the storylines. I find them to be immature. They seem to be oriented towards more of a general audience, which is okay. I mean, it's a business, so that's what they do to enhance the business and get more eyeballs. They got a lot of eyeballs on Netflix this week on the Monday Night Raw. I mean, a lot of eyeballs. It was like in the top 10 of all shows for the week and in the top 5 in the United States. So they did their job there, and it was a pretty good show. I didn't have a lot of criticism of the show. It was pretty good. So I won't go into that. The John Cena thing was, in my opinion, overplayed, and I think Levesque downplayed it as far as him going out, saying, well, usually when a wrestler retires, we put over a younger wrestler, blah, blah, blah. Well, number one, Gunther was not a younger wrestler. Gunther's been around for a long time. He used to be Walter. His real name is Walter Hahn. And he was always a good wrestler. And since he's come to WWE main roster, he has gotten more fit looking. He used to be kind of flabby looking. He was still a great wrestler. One of the best matches I've ever seen, probably the best NXT match I've ever seen, was when Gunther wrestled Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK title. It was a killer match, and Dragunov, who had been beaten by Gunther before, won. And I tell you, it was a great match. If you ever have a chance to watch that on YouTube, get in there. At any rate, John Cena was not putting Gunther over. Gunther's been a world champion. He was the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. So don't tell me that, Levesque, don't tell me that you're putting Gunther over at the expense of John Cena, and it's an old traditional thing to do. Well, okay, so I'm going to contrast it with something else, which is not WWE. It was an AEW, and this had to do with Sting and his retirement match. They didn't put anybody else over. Sting and Darby Allin did a tag team match where they won the world titles on AEW Tag Team Championship. They won the AEW Tag Team World Titles. It was a great match. Darby Allin wrecked himself. Sting was great, and he went out with a win, not a loss. So, okay, so it was AEW. Well, I don't give a shit whether it's AEW or WWE or TNA or MLW or any of the GCW, any of the other promotions. I don't care. And so I thought Levesque was weak, and I think he's been a little weaker as far as content goes. Now let's move on to the next topic, which I find to be humorous and very cool in a way. So I'm watching NXT in part last night, and I see the match between Blake Monroe, who to me is always going to be Mariah May. I mean, she had a great run in Japan and a great run on AEW, and she was the champion. And she and Tony Storm had just wonderful matches and a great storyline, just great, and it made both of them. Okay, so Blake Monroe moves over to NXT. She becomes eventually, after knocking a few gals down, she becomes the NXT North American Women's Champion. Great. Okay, not great in my opinion, but great for her and great for NXT. Last night, there's a match between she and Thea Hale. Ha! You look at the match, you're going to say, well, you know what? Blake Monroe's going to win this match. You can always tell who's going to win because everything is pre-planned, and I'm okay with that. I just want to be entertained by the wrestling, right? I want it to be highly athletic and violent, right? Okay, so it was a highly athletic match, and in a botch, as according to what everybody's saying, in management over there in that promotion, Thea Hale won in a botch. She pinned Blake Monroe. It was really funny because everyone was shocked. Thea Hale was shocked. Blake Monroe, of course, was very shocked. And the referee was like, it was a 3 count. I'm shocked. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, so now, which is kind of cool because Thea Hale's worked her little butt off, for 4 or 5 years now. She's been part of the goofy sophomore storyline with the college. What was it called? It was Chase University and all that, and then blah blah blah. Anyway, Thea Hale did a great job. She's now the champion. Blake Monroe is sitting out there twiddling their thumbs. What am I going to do? Well, obviously there's going to be a rematch. Okay, between she and Blake Monroe, and Blake Monroe probably win the title back. I don't think that's the right way to go. I think that now it's time for Blake Monroe to win the NXT Women's Championship. Right. And get rid of that goddamn JC Jane. I don't like her. I never have liked her. She's not, she's a good wrestler. I just don't like her. Okay? Blake Monroe will be better at it. And I think from there, Blake Monroe needs to keep the title for whatever time span they give it to her for, and then move up to the main roster. Better still, in my opinion, even though I think that creative is not ready for this, let's just move Blake Monroe to the main roster now. Let's start easing her in more and more. Yeah, have her on a match every week in the main roster, probably on SmackDown. So she can eventually... There's a lot of great women she can wrestle there and win, right? She can, I don't think she's going to beat Jade. I don't think anybody's going to beat Jade for a while. Because let me tell you this, Jade was underplayed and underused improperly, in my opinion. Jade Cargill is a great wrestler. Her skill level was not that of main roster when she came over to WWE because it was a different ball game than she was in as the TNT champion, or TBS champion, TBS champion in AEW, which she was 60-0 before she dropped the belt to move on to WWE. Okay, so Tony Khan didn't work her properly. Maybe 30-0 as a champion, and then start moving towards the women's championship, the world championship. She would have had to wrestle better wrestlers than she did. And that would have seasoned her enough to win the AEW Women's World Championship, and then she could have moved. I'm not in favor of her. I wasn't in favor of her going to WWE. Because look what happened. She got injured. She's been through all kinds of crap. Okay, great storyline. I don't give a shit about the storyline. But they did, however, develop her into a better wrestler. And I'm down with that. At any rate, Blake Monroe needs to, in my opinion, go to the main roster and start bleeding her in, whether they put the belt back on her for North American or whether she gets some true inside shots at the NXT Women's Championship. She's a better wrestler, in my opinion, than JC Jane and any of those gals on the roster over there in NXT. She needs to be the NXT Women's Champion, and she needs to get there pretty darn quick. Look what they did with Stephanie Vacker, okay, and with Julia. Well, now they've screwed Julia. Julia's knocked down a couple notches, which is kind of dumb, and she never even took a look at AEW. In my opinion, she's going to wind up in AEW. I hope she does. She'll get a better shot there, okay. Stephanie Vacker got beat by Mercedes Moné. I have forgotten whether that was a AAA match or a CMLL match. I've forgotten what it was. All I know is that I think it was an AEW match. I think she was on Forbidden Door, or one of those. World's End, one of those matches. I forget. I didn't look it up. At any rate, it's a hell of a match. Mercedes Moné beat her, and she beat her. It was a great match. Okay. Well, then she goes for the bright lights and the fame and all that crap, and now she's in WWE, and she's the WWE Women's World Champion. Okay, great. Well, she's a great wrestler, and she's very, very kind on the eyes. She's very beautiful, in my opinion. Okay, being Hispanic myself, I kind of am partial to Hispanic women or Latin American women, Latinas. So what needs to happen now is Blake Monroe needs to go to the main roster, in and out. Not necessarily Raw. However, maybe a switch back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. And maybe that's what Triple H is going to do with her after this botch. I'm fairly certain they're going to put one of the belts back on her. North American, maybe they're going to put the U.S. title on her, from WWE. They're going to put one of those belts back on her, okay? I think that Blake Monroe doesn't need to have a mid-card belt. She needs to be working towards the World Championship belts, whether it's Stephanie Vacker's belt or whether it's the belt that's on Jade Cargill. Now, you know that Little Miss Barbie Minnesota, right, is going to come back, right? She's going to come after Jade. Well, Jade's going to beat her ass again, right? She's going to beat her ass again. And right now, I'm not even going to say her name because you know who we're talking about here, okay? So that's going to shape up. However, Blake Monroe needs to get into the main roster, at least in and out of the main roster on a bi-monthly, twice-a-month basis or once-a-week basis, and also wrestle NXT. So she can wrestle 2 matches a week, right? Well, she did that quite a bit before, and she's a better wrestler than the NXT women. She's better than, in my opinion, than JC Jane and the rest of the gals with the experience over there. So that's where she needs to be. And this whole little shtick with the little cartoon thing of her with her index finger in her mouth trying to look real sexy, this kind of modern day takeoff on Marilyn Monroe, it's weak as hell. And that needs to step up. At any rate, Thea Hale got a big break, and that's great. Okay, off that topic, you have my opinion on that, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, that's cool. But if you do like what I do here on YouTube, please leave me a like and subscribe. I can use all the help I can get here. I don't get a lot because I probably say too many expletive deletives, so I don't get monetized. That's okay. I'm not here to get monetized. I'm here to get some eyeballs and get the word out for what I do with my podcasts and how I review other topics besides politics. Now, moving into the area of politics and wrestling. We've got a real problem here, Houston. we've got a problem. And what the problem is WWE and TKO, their parent company, being way partial to the orange puss bag, to the scumbag in chief, who really blighted and tainted the Republican Party, which is a good thing because this is a party that needs to fall apart, dismantle itself, and take him with it. So what happened? So Rob Reiner gets murdered by his crazed son. Now, here's what's probably going to happen. That kid is not going to get convicted of first-degree murder. He's going to go to the nut house, I'm thinking. Maybe go to the nut house until he can stand trial as a sane person. He's not going to get executed. He's going to go life imprisonment if he does go into criminal charges and not to the nut house. That's what's going to happen. It was not a political act. It was patria and matricide. It was patricide and matricide. Killed his father and his mother. He knifed them to death. He stabbed them. Oh my God, how horrible. It's really horrible, right? Okay, so Trump gets on TV, gets on his little crappy little social media outlet and X and puts out one of the most deplorable things he could have ever done. And in a way, I'm glad he did, because it just shines another light on what a cruel, evil, screwed up in the head guy he is. This guy is messed up in the head. He has got things wrong with him. He is immoral or amoral. He has no business being the president of the United States. And I'll tell you what, you 77 million who voted for him, shame on you. Okay, so let's not point you guys out as individuals or point you out in general even. But let's say this. You have a chance to redeem yourself. You got to get the GOP out of government as much as possible and Trump out of the White House as soon as possible. You have to do that. May have to wait till 2028, may not. Don't know yet. The jury's out on that one, almost literally speaking. Okay, so Mick Foley comes out. Now back to the WWE TKO BS with Trump. And he condemns WWE and is leaving the company after his Legends deal expires in July of 26. That's right. And why? He made a great, bold statement about it. He doesn't want to be affiliated with a company that has a relationship with Trump. Well, thankfully, Trump stayed off Saturday night's main event. Now, there were other knuckleheads from his cabinet in there, and that's bad enough. That was bad, too. None of them should even be around. WWE, if you had any brains, you would keep all those bastards away from TV and off your, but they don't. They've constantly sucked up to Trump. All the way back into the Vince McMahon, I think it was in the early 2000s, late 90s. No more Trump. In fact, you guys need to disavow Trump. Now, people are really stupid, okay? Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who are ignorant or just willfully ignorant or stupid, meaning a lot of people still think that the wrestling is real. No, it's not. It's staged. It's an act. It's entertainment. And it's okay. If you don't like that and you thought it was real, well, get over it. I did. It took me a long time because when I found out it was fake and people told me, I was butthurt. Big time. Right. Big time butthurt. Didn't watch wrestling for years and years and years because of that. I was disappointed. So WWE, you need to come out and say, hey, this is entertainment. It's staged. We script everything. And here's how we do it. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Right. Well, people who are your diehard wrestling fans, we all know that. And we're okay with it because we all like to be entertained by it. Okay? So, but having somebody like this convicted felon who is a criminal, who is an evil person. Now, they talk about dementia and all that. Well, I don't know if it's dementia so much. Maybe slightly he's slipping into it. I don't know. I'm not a physician, and I haven't diagnosed him in in person. No. So I'm going to tell you that he's just a no good son of a bitch. And that's what the problem is. He's evil. He's wrong. He's immoral. He's amoral. He has no business being the president of the country. And you people who voted for him, hey, you need to put things right. And you know how to do that, those of you who have any brains. Now, a lot of these people that watch wrestling have no brains. They thought that they were butthurt over the John Cena thing. I just thought it was a wrong move by Levesque. I think that John Cena should have gone out on a win, and he shouldn't have been fighting Gunther. How ridiculous. Well, it appears now that there's big plans for Gunther to retire people. Probably going to retire AJ Styles. Maybe he'll retire Randy Orton. Maybe he'll retire a few of these other guys that are going to be going out. I really don't care how they use him like that. He's a great wrestler, and he needs to be a world champion again, in my opinion. I'd like to see him beat Punk and take the belt back, because I'm tired of Punk and Punk's BS. Come on, Punk. You're about the worst babyface ever this time around. You were better when you were the people's guy, when you were the people's champion, when you were the pipe bomb guy, right? You were better when you were in AEW. You had great matches in AEW, and you screwed that up, Punk. Get on down the road. Now, your wife's a different story. She's great. I absolutely adore her as a wrestler and a personality. She's great, okay? Anyway, so I'd like to see Gunther take the belt back from Punk, and then maybe even Seth Rollins. Maybe Seth Rollins takes the belt from Punk, and then the belt gets taken back by Gunther. Whatever, something like that. The stage looks set now for eventually for Cody Rhodes to lose his belt. And he's probably going to lose that to Oba Femi when the time comes. If he doesn't have it when when Oba Femi takes the belt. They got him pegged. So it's kind of handwriting's on the wall what's going to happen there. And it's actually kind of cool. Some of these things are kind of cool and they'll be fun because some of the matches will be really violent. You can always count on Cody Rhodes for a violent match, which is great. And he was great for a minute in AEW, but we got tired of him over there and the fans booed him. I didn't, but the fans got tired of him and they booed him. And then he didn't get to carry out his agenda, which is kind of sad because they had a great agenda. And thankfully, Tony Khan and his crew are fixing things, and things have gotten a lot better. At any rate, we need an end to all this nonsense at WWE. Besides the whole Trump thing, you've got the Saudi Arabia thing. It's bad enough that Trump goes over and kisses these guys' asses, these murderous scum who are, now he's tried to downplay, MBS has tried to downplay everything and become sort of a human rights. He's not a human rights guy. They're still chopping people's heads off over there. Yeah, and people that don't deserve it. I mean, they were cutting women's heads off for doing just normal stuff that women do every day in Western countries and even a lot of Muslim countries. No. And what he did to Khashoggi, the journalist, no. Now, he ordered that. He had that done. Don't give me any shit. And meanwhile, TKO is going over there for Royal Rumble. You're going to have Royal Rumble in Riyadh. Oh, my God. This is horrible. So you got Trump scumbagging about the whole Rob Reiner murder, and you've got him bolstering up, giving the Medal of Freedom posthumously to Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to run Charlie Kirk into the ground. His record in podcasting stands for itself. It was horrible what happened to him. It was a horrible crime. And I don't think it was an assassination as much. It was just a guy. If that guy did it, who they're accusing of it, it was not an assassination. It was a murder. Okay, and it's horrible. And now his wife is there fighting with Candace Owens. Okay. WWE, get away from people like Trump. Get away from the Saudis. Come on, be a real wrestling company and be neutral like you always should have been, which you haven't been off and on. I thought when he got rid of Vince, that crap might have changed, but it got worse. And I tell you, if I didn't like some of the performers and some of the wrestling on there, I would stop watching them again. They just really have crossed the line for me on a moral basis. And then I hate it when these knuckleheads, like, what's his name, Ango, get on there and say, well, politics and wrestling, I'm not about Ango. When you've got a criminal enterprise, when you've got a criminal that's being endorsed by a wrestling promotion, that's wrong. And that's Trump. I mean, you just will endorse some other war criminals. Why didn't you endorse Dick Cheney or George W. Bush? You didn't, did you? No. This guy's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. He is a walking debacle. And you guys have gussed up to him. Look at that whole national fitness crap. We're shaking hands with Levesque. Oh, I tell you, I wanted to puke and throw it all over those guys. It's terrible. And then you've got this whole thing about taking over Venezuela. That's what this is. This is a Venezuela regime change bunch of bull. I mean, you couldn't even do it subtly and have, like, Colombia and Brazil collaborate with somebody else and take it over. Oh no, you couldn't even do it covertly. You had to do it overt, and you're gonna go in there and blitz your own Monroe Doctrine. Great. Just horrible. Murdering guys in cigar boats that probably do have dope on them. Well, who cares? The dope didn't come in here. The Coast Guard has already commandeered and taken in tons and tons of dope, including a lot of fentanyl that was coming from Mexico. No, this is huge. This is awful. WWE, get out of the Trump game. Get the hell away from Trump. Get the hell away from politics. If you notice, Tony Khan doesn't mix in that. If you notice, MLW doesn't mix in that. If you notice, even NXT, well, NXT it's part of WWE. So, at any rate, that's enough out of me. I'm a stumble bum because I'm tired. Didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm glad some of you checked in. And if you don't like my opinion, it's okay. You're supposed to not be okay with it. I hope you look at this, though, and I hope you consider what's at stake here, okay? What's at stake here is you've got a wrestling promotion, the largest one in the world, which is almost a monopoly. If they can take down MLW and take down AEW the way they have TNA, they're ruining TNA. Just ruining it, in my opinion. I liked TNA when it was more indie. Now it's become just an organ of NXT. Ugh. I just really don't like what you guys have done. And I really like to see you catch it in the butt on this whole situation. Yeah, you guys need to get diddied on this whole bunch of transgressions and immorality you've done. Meanwhile, you've got the public buffaloed, big time. People really think that you're really serious about the whole Cena thing. Yeah, it wasn't handled properly, I don't think. And even his old man, his dad, came out and said he didn't think so. It could have been done better. I agree. It's just wrong. He should have went out on a win. He's the GOAT. Let him go out as the GOAT, not as somebody who gets beat by the Austrian deathmatch guy. Yeah, no, no. So that's what we're going to call Gunther from now on, is Austrian deathmatch. I still like Gunther, though. He is such a dick. He's a total prick. And he's supposed to be. He's a perfect heel. WWE, get out of the weakness. Get away from the Saudis. Get away from Trump. This is going to come back and bite you in the ass when some of these kids who love you right now get older and they see through it and they know you're phony and you're fake and they see what you're doing. Yeah. It's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Anyway, I hope y'all are good. I hope you enjoy the entertainment value of professional wrestling. And I hope that you push back. Keep pushing back on WWE. They deserve it. They deserve it. And Blake Monroe, go to the main roster. Yeah. Come on, HB. Come on. Come on, Heartbreak Kid. Get her up to the main roster. You too, Levesque. Get her away from that nonsense. Put the TNT World Women's Championship on her. Have a great day.